met Mario through ESI and Paul Forbes, and I had the opportunity to see his amazing talent with how he infuses culture and math. There is no separation, and what he has to share with everyone tonight, I'm just really, really excited.
The setup in my room is in a circle. We always start and end in circle. In between, students can disperse to specific tables. But I just want, we start in community and end in community. So that we start with libations and we end with in Lakesh. And I'll tell you what in Lakesh is later. It's a Mayan precept. The way libations work is, usually we have two vessels. One is filled with water, one is empty. And the way we do it, we're going to just throw out some affirmation. Alone is what you feel, and alone is what you do have. Don't complain about what you don't have. Organize with what you do have. Or say,
Ashe.
You think your pain and your heartbreaks are unprecedented in the history of the world, but then you read. And so if we want to sort of envision or try to create some type of mathematical component that aligns itself with this specific thing, on the y-axis is the belief that your pain and your heartbreak is worse than everyone else's, and then on your x-axis is the amount that you read. When you tend to see the more that you read, there is a sort of a collective consciousness that begins to build, and you can understand that there are sort of global tensions within deep suppressions that mirrors other people's experiences.
I struggle with functions, but something like this is like a segue into the beginning of functions and what it means and the rate of change.
Yeah, I think this is a very good example for when you teach exponential decay, exponential growth. Yeah, this is a very good example. You can give it in the do now and then let them go over this span. Then the more you read, the more your ability become lesser and so on and so on.
And so today we're going to deeply explore two fundamental instruments in salsa that have Afrocentric roots. One is the clave and the other is the drum, onda. And we're going to look at how those two sounds or those two rhythms, when they sort of play in concert with each other, can lead to these deep mathematical processes that we want to engage with students. But before we get into content, we have to go to culture. So there are different rhythms that are at play. One is the tumbao and one is the clave. Again, the cycle is around this 24 count. Once 24 count happens on that 25th rhythm, sort of the cycle repeats itself. So here, the X values are just the polyrhythms. Polyrhythms are just what sounds are playing from the first count, second count, third count, fourth count. So the sounds that are playing is you have the clave at 1, and then you also have the tumbao at 1. And so you want to find a difference in sound because once you get to this part, it sort of breaks that cycle, right? These things are there at different patterns, and so you want to analyze polyrhythms. You can analyze the difference between the sounds that are playing. So the clave is doing ba, at the same time the drum is either doing a slap, an open toe, or something during that same thing. And then they cancel out, and that gives us a difference of 0. And so when we have a difference of 0, that's essentially going to be our y values. Fundamentally, you want to teach from this idea of abstraction to concrete. So the abstraction part was the video. How the hell this connects to math? Excuse my language. Or the drumming, or the clave. So that's all the abstract part, and then to try to make it something that is, in essence, concrete.
I was gonna say so what you said about going from abstract to concrete. This is your lesson that you made from scratch. It looks like it took a lot of work, and that's kind of the basis of it. You come at them with something that they're not used to walking into a classroom and seeing, and you bring it right back to something that they're used to, or may not be used to. I never learned functions. I was terrible at it. And in high school, they skipped over it because they're like, oh, they're not going to need that. There's nothing on the test for that. But the simple part of where you had gone to go up a little bit, when I went to college and I saw notation, piecewise functions, I never had an idea of how to do it. So you at least expose them. And at most, you have a way of exposing them with the idea that what they're learning in class and math connects to something in the real world.
Right. Ron English, dope educator. He's looking at He's looking at fractal patterns within African clothing, within African design. And so he was able to create or build some premises around geometry. So fractal geometry is like this big thing, and he was able to analyze certain patterns within that. Changing the faces of mathematics from a gender perspective. That work is being done. Native American mathematics, mathematics everywhere across cultures. So, essentially, there's a library of these things that have activities that you can do, and it also aligns with mathematics. Once the table is then created, what you get from that is a relation. A relation is a set of ordered pairs. So what are the x and y values from these rhythms? So now it's more concrete math, but at least they're guiding premises. Like this is centered around a certain beat that I feel a dance to. And then there's these 24 relations or ordered pairs. From the ordered pairs, there are domain values. So what is the set of all x values? So what is the set of all y values, which is the range? And some kids will immediately identify, you scroll up. Yeah, like there are patterns here. It's no coincidence that this is all 0, then it goes into 6, and then -2. Is it a function or not, right? And the test that we use is the vertical line test, right? You can also use a mapping diagram as well. You put all the x values here, all the y values here, try to connect them. Yes, it's a function. Every input has exactly one output. And so this is where you go from like the cultural component, guide yourself back to this concrete thing, and then you don't feel as though like the two worlds are like, separate. But at least now if your thing is direct instruction, this is where you do you. This is where you do your work. This is where you feel like more comfortable. But at least like you have to be open to the cultural thing in the beginning, and then try to fuse them together. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We can go to 14th Street tomorrow. After school.
Oh, that's great.
There you go.
Very good. That's great. So I wanted to find a principle or some type of poem that was deeply ingrained in indigenous culture. So I was able to find a poem that's called In Lakesh, which is a mind precept, and it's really about, and it goes, you are my other me, y respeto yo.
Me amo y respeto yo.
I love and respect myself.
I love and respect myself.